But we love the intro music, my wife and I.
Oh yeah.
And Noah as well, I think.
I don't know if I got to hear it.
It's cool. It's a little upbeat, jazzy bit. It's cool. But I heard you talking about Rochester, and one of my dearest friends is from there, and now he has moved back, which I am saddened by. But to hear the conversation you guys talking about streets, this and the other, it's cool when you have,
This is one of the things
familiarities like that.
that I don't know that I don't know that Lexington is special about this, but the people that I've met here from all kinds of different places, and you start being able to match that up with people, and like, oh, here's this guy was born and grew up, like 3 blocks down the street from where my father grew up in Rochester. And so he starts, I'm from Rochester. I'm like, really? I mean, I could tell people I'm from like Western New York, or sometimes people will say, well, I'm from Buffalo. Well, nobody's really from Buffalo. Where exactly? Cheektowaga, you're Lackawanna, Hamburg, where are you exactly around there? So he's like, Rochester. And I'm thinking, well, maybe you're from one of the small suburbs around there. And he's like, no, I'm from Rochester. And he starts describing it. I'm like, I know exactly where that is. I mean, I know the street you're talking about.
Right.
Been there many, many times myself. So it's cool to meet those people like that. But it's also, that's what makes the town kind of cool to be in. Mm-hmm. And but that's also what I like about this job, is to meet these people and find out, oh, wait a minute, you're from wherever it is. There's some connection somehow. I mean, if you go out to Clara and Ray's Italian restaurant.
That's my 2B for pizza.
Okay.
My 1B. Sorry, my 1B. My 1A is Kavachi's.
I'm going to do my best to not tell this story because I've told it on camera many times. But the 2 guys that run that, Brian and John, they used to live next door to me.
Really?
And by next door, I mean I was in this apartment. They were on the other side of the wall. They had to walk past my door and my windows daily for a year in college.
That's amazing.
Didn't meet them.
Till Lexington.
Yes.
That is absolutely amazing. Great pizza, by the way.
Yes.
Because they use stone deck ovens.
Yes.
You've got to.
Yeah.
You've got to. Conveyor belt, electric or gas, terrible. You've got to have a stone if you're not running coal or straight wood. Yeah.
Yeah. It was funny because when I met them and they're like, yeah, we have this, this pizza place. And I'm like, yeah, but at the time it was Ray's Pizza and Ice Cream. I saw it, never went in there because I'm like, okay, you're in this little strip plaza. And it's pizza and ice cream. It didn't strike me as being like authentic New York pizza.
Oh, it's legit, and you know this.
Yeah, I do now.
Yeah. That's what I like about Kavachi's. I mean, the guy that originally opened it was a sit down joint because it was in and gets even crazier about Lexington. So Kavachi's was like a sit down dine in restaurant over on
South Lake.
On South Lake,
which is now what, Cafe Strudel?
It's
or
Cafe
something?
Strudel,
Right.
which the guy Cafe Strudel in West Columbia, same guy on State Street. That is his name's Tristan, I believe. His sister's name is Jenny. She dated my brother. She ended up marrying one of my brother's closest friends, who's a drummer. Really weird. However, I'm talking about Kavachi's Pizza at the shop one day, and the customer in front of me goes, "Yes, I grew up in that house." I'm like, "What?" She's like, "Yeah, I grew up in this house. When it's Kavachi's, I go in there." And when they bought the house, it was the same way it was when she grew up. It was her aunt's house, and she stayed there during the summers. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So in this town, there's a tree service called, I think it's Lexington Tree Service.
Okay.
Run by Jim Dicker. Jim, in high school, kind of had a crush on this girl, Christine. It's my wife's aunt.
Really?
From up in Pennsylvania.
In PA, and now here. Yeah. It's so crazy. It's like my friend Jonathan grew up on the coast, Born and raised in Indiana, but moved to James Island as a 8, 9-year-old. Knows people there. We get up here. John's a very outgoing guy. We call him Blind John because legally he's blind. Brilliant man. Brilliant. He's an engineer by schooling. But it just blew him away when I go places. It's like, seeing people that I've known or I know, and it's like, is there anybody in this town you don't know? I was like, probably. They just moved here.
Yeah.
But,
and that's, the nice thing is that when you're in someplace and there's a chance, you walk into a restaurant or whatever it is, you're like, I probably know somebody that's in here right now.
mm-hmm.
The comfort that you get from that is, it's like, it's like Cheers. It's like, where everybody knows your name. There's a likelihood that somebody there knows you or whatever. That's the fascinating thing about this small town. And I like that. I don't want it to lose that character. It's probably going to, because of just population growth is going to make it almost too big to have that.
Yeah.
But if you seek it out, or if you seek out the people that are here to become, the new friends, that when you go someplace else, like, oh yeah, we were both in Lexington. I could swear there's somebody else. There's another coincidence like that came along recently. But similarly, for example, there's a guy who works for me. I was working for this company based out of Huntsville, Alabama, and I'd been in this team for, 5 or 6 years. And the boss was like, yeah, we need to hire somebody else. So he hires somebody and then tells me in a meeting one day, he's like, yeah, he says, I think he's from near where you are. He says, you're in North Carolina. He's from South Carolina. I said, well, I'm from South Carolina. I mean, I've been sending you an invoice every month for the last 6 years. Have you not noticed where you're sending the money?
Name. Yeah, right.
And he goes, oh, yeah, I always get that screwed up. So I said, well, where in South Carolina is he from? He goes, I don't know. It's Lexington, I think. I'm like, all right, well, you're getting my address and his address screwed up. I'm the one from Lexington. Where is he from? He goes, well, I think he's... So he pulls out his address, and he's from Lexington. And I said, all right, well, give me his address, because I'm thinking, maybe he's my next door neighbor. He was up around the corner off of West Main. And I'm like... So of all the things, you could hire anybody from anywhere, and you just happen to find a candidate who worked out really well, who happens to be, maybe 2 miles down the road from me. Now, this team of guys, I'm now the manager of this team, so apparently I'm a little better at figuring out where everybody lives and keeping track of it. But I got a guy in Chambly outside of Montreal. I got a guy in Markham, Ontario, which is outside of Toronto. One guy in Huntsville. This other guy here, but he's now moved to the other side of the lake. He's over in Chapin. And a guy in Denton, North Texas, on the north side of Dallas, Texas. So we're spread out. To be that spread out and to have found still, here's a candidate from Lexington, South Carolina.
Right.
Is just...
It's remarkable.
Yeah.
Absolutely remarkable.
And you're thinking, I might need to, maybe I need to meet the rest of the people in Lexington, small enough town. Let's try to meet all these people, and maybe you and I have crossed paths someplace.
Very possible. Outside of the normal.
Well, so how do you know anything about Western New York and Rochester? Have you been there?
No, I've never been there. We had to travel
You've eaten buffalo chicken wings then?
Absolutely. On the regular. We have traveled to Warwick, New York. I think it's northwest, basically the city, about 45 minutes.
Okay.
We had to go there. It was really weird.
And by the city, of course, everybody knows that the world is centered on New York City.
Right. Yeah.
Especially the people in New York City think that the world revolves around New York City.
Absolutely. Because of their boroughs, and now you're getting more to a microcosm of their own worlds that are much like places in games. Anyway, like video games, it gets really different. No, we had to go to Noah plays lacrosse, or son plays lacrosse. and there was a training camp.
I think I've met your son.
I think you have. There was a training there, but they had it at an old insane asylum, a condemned insane asylum. Weird.
Also known as the state capitol?
Maybe. But it was a different experience. It was cool, not only in the environment, but it was Novemberish, wicked cold. But I have friends from New York. The best man at my wedding when I was living in Virginia Beach. Shout out Charlie. He's from Long Island. He's a West Babylon guy, and I'll get those conversations going. Oh, West Babylon, what do you know about that? Because people think, again, the city, right? You don't think about Long Island or Staten Island. It's like those are
Next time you're
parts.
in Clara and Ray's and you're talking to John or Brian, they're from Long Island.
Are they really?
Now, for many years, John taught band. They were both musicians. He was in Sag Harbor, which is way out past the Hamptons, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And Brian was in further west, closer to the city, Hauppauge. He was in Hauppauge. Not as far west or near the city as Babylon is, but my wife, Dennis, she lived for a time on the island, and I don't recall, but much closer to the city, probably in that vicinity. But anyway, Babylon, buddy.
That's how we know New York, right? Traveled there once as a teenager, going up to Connecticut to see some friends, where I ate at Sally's Pizza, which is like a staple. But hit the city. Not that I'm reclusive to South Carolina. I've traveled. Military has taken me all over the place. But I had to get out of here, or I would have never seen or experienced, what you're trying to do with this.
Are you originally from here?
I am.
As in Lexington, from
West
here?
Columbia guy.
Okay.
Grew up probably 7 or 8 miles from where we are here. Kind of between 26 and 20.
Okay.
Between Highway 1 and 378, that Lee Park Road area.
How much has that changed?
Quite a bit. But not to the level that Lexington has. We got subdivisions just, going up because people, we've got 4th and 5th generation farming land, right? And those 4th and 5th generation kids don't want to farm. They don't care. They know that there's more value in the land that, because they're not making any more of it.
Yeah, when the EMP hits, they're going to wish they were farming.
Yeah. But our family, my family lineage goes way back to even getting land grants from King George, coming out of Newberry area. Eargles and Boozers came over from Germany, settled the Newberry area. Then 3 factions kind of just split off. Some stayed in Newberry, Batesburg, and West Columbia, and some of the Batesburg folk did their own thing and went to Northeast. But I grew up 6, 7 miles from here, 8 miles from here. Went to Airport High School because that would be zoned for Brooklyn Casey. My dad remarried, moved out by the airport, and graduated Airport High School. Then joined the Navy. Did life.
So, where were you in the Navy? So you moved around. So let's establish one thing.
Yeah.
Only one branch of the service?
Yes, one branch.
I mean, I don't mean to belittle
No.
people that only do one branch, but
those random few that do multiple branches, man, hats off to them.
I have a brother-in-law who went into the Navy, lied about his age to get in, I think, if I have this correct, I think he did a 4-year stint, maybe, but maybe signed up for 6. He was over in Desert Shield. I don't know if he was there for Desert Storm or not.
So it would have been Storm first.
I thought
And then-
Shield was first.
Desert Storm, Desert Shield, Southern Watch. I think is how the campaigns.
Okay. So
worked out.
I mean, I
think.
forgive some of my ignorance, but
No,
anyway,
no. I think that's. You could be absolutely right.
he was over there for that. Finished his Navy stint. Got out and thought, well, I kind of like this whole military thing, but I'm not sure really that fond of the Navy. So he re-upped with the Army,
Okay.
went back through basic training.
A different kind of basic training for sure.
Yeah, and did a 2-year stint with the Army, and it's like, yeah, really rather have this Navy thing. So he got out and ended up going back into the Navy Reserves, and he's been in the Navy Reserve. I think he's just finally retired. I think he's officially out of the Navy Reserve as of last year. But yeah, so he is one of these guys that I know that has been in multiple branches, but he's like, yeah, I'd really rather the Navy, thank you very much. But he at least tried.
I love the Navy.
What did you do in the Navy?
I was in navigation, so the usual process, right? My father was Army vet, served in Vietnam. I had no aspirations nor the intelligence to move forward to college.
You had the intelligence not to.
Yeah, potato, right? So it was either go in the real world because you're not living here, just that boomer mentality, and just either get a job or go in the military. So I was like, well, yeah, I've got two stepbrothers that were currently in the Navy. They loved it. Took the ASVAB, qualified high enough in math skills, oddly enough, to do navigation. So I was a quartermaster. Navigated aircraft carrier for 4 years.
So how hard is that? I mean, you're not getting a sextant out every night, but I'll bet you know how.
At one point, yes. I mean, you have to learn how to shoot an azimuth, right? Get the section out. But modern vessels. I was on a nuclear carrier. I was on the Theodore Roosevelt, CVN 71. Carrier vessel, nuclear. Sorry to be clear.
I didn't think to ask that, but I should have.
That's okay.
Because I've heard reference to some of the different ships. I'm sorry, boats. Because ships move cargo, boats float in the water. I've been corrected on that a couple of times, enough to.
All I know is a boat will fit on a ship. That's what I was always told.
Okay. Ships are for shipping.
Sure.
Apparently, that's what
And
do
boats
I know?
are for boating.
Yeah. I'm a landlubber, so to me they're all
They're all the same, right?
Right.
They displace water and they don't sink.
Yeah, but I guess out of an attempt to be respectful, I try to make sure I know what I'm talking about.
No, you're
But
solid.
so yeah, all right. So carrier vessel nuclear CVN. So in that though, you've got all the technology that tells you where you are, where you're going, so on and so forth. But how much respect do you have to have then for the people on the old wooden sailing ships? Like,
Oh, tremendous.
how did you
amount.
even in that day and age? How did you get to where you wanted to go? I mean, did you know where you were going, or just like you're just keeping track of where we are?
Well, yes and no. It's like you have a destination. Obviously, technology, even then in the early 90s, because I was on board Roosevelt from 92 to 96, we had a very crude, we had actually two different very crude GPS units. One that it was called the WRN-6 that the Navy kept out of the F-16s when they sold them to the Air Force. Which really, and it would get us within supposedly 6 yards of the waypoint, which
Pretty accurate.
that's pretty accurate when you're on
For
a
a-
carrier.
I was going to say for a boat that size,
Absolutely.
6 yards is not exactly off center.
No, that's one of the it's basically one of the aircraft you have on board, right? So then we had another one that was probably 10 or 15, but still, we're splitting hairs. But the respect for ancient mariners. Highest order of respect. Because from what I understand, so we had to learn, because they sent us to school for this. It's not like, here you go. They just don't throw you to the sharks. You go to school. I was in school for 12 weeks for navigation. So from what I understand, and again, memories fade, but there was a guy that got thrown into prison that figured out from his prison cell all the mathematics in relation to stars, sunrise, sunset, because that's key, right? We have to figure those things out. And I may be blending stories here, but there's a whole catalog of physical books that we had in the chart house that we had. I mean, as the navigation crew and the team, we had to predict sunrise, sunset, moonrise, moonset. We had all these books for that. That this one guy, hundreds and hundreds of years ago from his prison cell, from what we were told, figured this out. Unbelievable. And then even prior to that, learning the stars. I mean, Galileo, figuring out how to navigate by stars. Unbelievable. All we have in front of us is it's called a whiz wheel. It's like you figure out what latitude and longitude you're at, you turn the whiz wheel, and it tells you and you know what hemisphere you're in because there's different sets of whiz wheels. Oh, look, there they are, and then you start shooting your azimuth. No, azimuth's off sun. I'm sorry. Start using your section, start shooting stars. You get multiple waypoints. It gets you within probably half a mile of where you actually are.
Right. So by the time you get there, you can see your destination. If you're off by a little bit, you're like, okay, we need to be over there.
And then and there's things. I mean, there's constant. Just like fish, you have to constantly be moving, right? So there's constant things that have to be done. You have to adjust for set and drift, because of currents and wind. And imagine that on a vessel that was powered purely by sails. Taut that line, set that jib. Those are small things. Releasing a sail, dropping a sail, hoisting. Yeah.
Would you, if you're in a sailing ship like that, would you knowingly go off course because the winds are favorable?
Well,
knowing that you
I
could
don't
probably
know.
course correct later on, but hey, I'm going to get there faster because I got good winds to go, 2 degrees to the right.
Well, probably not. We didn't. Fortunately enough, in the modern world, we did not get into that.
Yeah, you don't have to.
Right. And
unless
I
you're
never
worried about currents or something and being slowed down, and like, you know what, if I go over here, I can get into a current that takes me a little bit faster over there. But.
Right. And I got my little skill award in scouts for, sailing, but that was on a lake. Big open water sailing. Unfortunately, I don't have the knowledge, right? I do know winds are very important. And we had to do that, especially when we were launching aircraft. So you have to have so many, and to that point, you have to know what the winds are. And when you got an anemometer to get speed, then you can use that anemometer if it's got a tail on it to pick direction. You steer into those winds.
Right, because you need that.
You need
that headwind.
You need that headwind to
get planes
right.
Get lifted.
And when we're launching, either you find at least 30 knots of wind coming across the bow, or you create it.
Okay.
Right.
Interesting.
So.
But even at that point, then you're going potentially off course.
True.
But with the navigational equipment you've got, like, okay, yeah, I'm going to be 2 miles off course, but it's because I need to be into the wind. And
right.
Today we're going over there, and we'll turn when we need to turn.
And that's when your nav team, the officer deck is there communicating with the air boss, who's a level above the navigational bridge on the island there on the starboard side.
Why is it on the starboard side?
Never asked. I don't. I
never thought about it. But
never.
Yeah.
Great question. Never thought about it.
I bet there's a reason.
I'm sure there is. I'm sure there was an engineer somewhere that said this needs to be here, right?
More might have just been tradition for some old Navy thing. You're
Carrier?
better off.
Yeah,
On
maybe.
I mean, you got to be on one side or the other. You can't be in the middle because that'd be
That would be very bad on the carrier.
typically very bad on a
Yeah,
carrier.
yeah.
Exactly.
I can tell you all the parts. It's like, the island. Beside the island was the bomb farm. In front of it was the corral. That's the bomb farm, obviously, is where we're keeping ordnance. The corral is where they would stage aircraft. You have the pesky pole, just like in baseball where your foul pole is, the pesky pole. You have the finger, which is your bow. Cat 1, Cat 2, Cat 3, waist cat. Off the finger is the angle, and then you got the whole port side and then the fantail.
So
Tell you all
when
that.
you're launching an aircraft, I mean, these aircraft aren't small. They aren't
No.
gliders. They're not balsa wood. They got a little weight to them.
Mm-hmm.
They got a little power to them.
Absolutely.
But it's a big aircraft carrier. Do you feel it?
Absolutely.
Does the whole boat feel that?
For the most part, I would say you probably feel it somewhat, at least 2 or 3 decks below, and you feel 2 different things. You feel, so if you've ever observed or watched video of aircraft launching from a carrier, there's this kind of wall that comes
Right.
up behind
A
them.
little blast wall.
Right, and that's what it is. It's called a JBD, or jet blast deflector. Well, that's also there so that thrust is managed. Because if it wasn't, they would have to have a heck of a lot more, right?
But that's attached to the boat, which means
Right.
all that thrust that's going back is pushing the boat back.
Right, but it's that's a lot of thrust, so you feel that, and obviously vibrations are going to cause motion, right? Or different motions to cause things to move, and you feel it and you hear it. If you're below, which I was, at some point on the boat, when you first check on board, you have to go through a thing called School of Ship, where you learn about the vessel you're on. Well, we were in the forecastle. We were a level above the forecastle, which is right below the flight deck, and I get the channel that the shuttle rides in that captures the front wheel of the aircraft. I wasn't in the air department, so I'm sure there's other names for these things. I always heard it called a shuttle, or the mouse that drags and helps propel it. That has a water dam that stops it.
Really?
Yeah, and you could hear it winding up, shh, pow, and then it hit the water dam, and the whole room would shake. And we're sitting there trying to learn about, Theodore Roosevelt, the vessel, and you got this going on during flight ops. Where my berthing was, where we lived, was just below where the arresting gear is. And the arresting gear, the 4 lines you
Right,
see.
the wires.
Yep, that's catching the wire. Yeah,
Yeah, we're going to catch an airplane
Yeah,
with a wire.
Yes, and they use nets when there were, and they're still they do. That's an emergency thing. There's netting, and they do drills on that stuff. The flight deck crews do. But yeah, my berthing was right below the arresting gear. So during flight ops, when they would trap, you'd feel the aircraft hit, and then this unwinding noise. Wah! As you got the unwinding plus resistance,
Right.
that whining noise, and then when they would reel it back in to set it back to,
And you learn to sleep through that.
yes.
How? Did the Navy teach you to sleep?
The Navy, did they teach me to sleep? They taught me adaptive, right? It's an adaptive or an adapted behavior. You learn how to sleep in all conditions because you don't know where you're going to be.
Right. You're going to have all conditions,
Right.
and you need to get some sleep.
Right. One of my stations during general quarters, and it's just a drill for simulating any attack on board the vessel. Right. So my general quarter station was what they call it port after steering. So it's 3 decks below the air. I think it's 3 decks below levels, 3 levels below. Again, we're talking almost 35 years ago now. 3 levels below.
Feels like just yesterday.
Yeah, it does. The Grays tell me but anyway, levels below the hangar bay where you store all the aircraft, right? There's 3 hangar bays on this vessel. And that space has a blast door on it, and you can control the ship from that space in 3 fashion. There's
Now
a
this is your quarter
my general quarter station.
general quarter
Yep.
station. Okay. This is not where you're sleeping.
Well, I could.
Not supposed to be.
And you're not supposed to be. However, I'm sure I can't be, brought up to captain's mast this far away from it. So,
You're about to find out if the new Navy is up to that or not.
hey, Pete, Mr. Hegseth, don't come after me, brother. So that general quarter station, it's a machine space because it has the machining in it that move the rudders.
Okay.
So if you can imagine, outside of the vessel, there's 4 huge propellers, or they call them screws, right?
Right.
Big brass screws that are, I think they're like 15 or 20 feet in diameter. They're huge.
Well, you've got a big boat to move.
True. And you've got the rudder. Obviously, it needs to wash that to direct you. Well, big machine space, hydraulic pumps are moving that. Well, if we ever had a lot of noise, so you have to wear hearing protection. Well, you get still enough, and this goes to your sleeping question. You get still enough, and a constant tone, you can lock in on that and go right to sleep. I do it to this day. If I'm having, if I'm having any trouble going to sleep, I'll find a noise in the room. I'll focus on that noise, and I'm usually asleep in about 3 minutes.
So I could use the little ringing in my ears to do that. Maybe that's why we have tinnitus.
You could try that. I've tried the tinnitus thing.
I mean, you can't try it. You either have it or you don't.
Well, I mean, tried to focus on that.
Okay, yeah.
To be specific. I can't do it with the tinnitus, but I could do it off of your refrigerator running over there, or the compressor that I hear in the background. I could definitely do it off of that. Usually it's a ceiling fan that I'll focus on. Ambient noise is, you just get used to it, and you focus and you go to sleep. Use your gas mask as a pillow. Whatever barrier of clothing you have between you and the steel deck is it, and you go to sleep.
That's interesting because I have been trying to figure out sometimes how to get to sleep, because there's times when I mean, the older I get, the more frequently I have these nights where, like, hey, I'm not getting to sleep tonight. I have determined a couple of things. Mostly, if I eat too much too late, I may not sleep at all. And I've had a couple nights where that's happened to me, and I've kind of had to go back, like, why am I not sleeping tonight? And it's the times that has happened, I have noted, like, oh, the commonality in every single one of those was I ate too much too late. Now I wonder if it's psychosomatic. If I eat too much too late, I go, oh, you know what, I'm probably not going to sleep tonight. And then it causes myself to, it's kind of a what do they call it? A self-fulfilling prophecy. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, if I didn't bias the jury to say, hey, you might have a hard time going to sleep tonight because you're eating too late. But that said, you probably shouldn't be eating late at night either, along with, everything else you shouldn't do. And
Right.
Well,
that's the thing about, watching. There are, and I was into this for a while. Times to eat, right? You shouldn't eat past 7 p.m. And your meal at that time shouldn't consist of heavy carbohydrates, because they're just straight turning into sugar. You're inactive. It's going to turn into, extended waistlines.
I am 3 weeks into craving pizza. I'm like, oh, I could dial up a Papa John's right now and sit down here tonight and eat a large pizza by myself.
Yeah.
I will regret it probably the moment I order it.
I'm that way with pasta. I'm a pasta fiend. But it helps me sleep. If I find that if I'm having a bout of insomnia, I will go eat a large portion of pasta, and and I'm not even thinking about the focusing at that point in time.
Right.
It's
For me, if I'm not having, if the only thing I've found that it helps me get to sleep if I'm having a hard time with it, and I know we're way off the topic, but push-ups. 3 o'clock in the morning, if you're not sleeping,
run out some reps.
yeah, if you can get 40 or 50 of them out, go, and get back to bed.
Man, that's a level of commitment that I applaud.
But it burns off whatever
It's
that
nervous
nervous
energy.
energy,
Yes.
exactly, that
Yes.
nervous energy, and it burns it off.
Here's the thing with me.
Although maybe it's just breaking the cycle. Maybe it's like you're focused on, I can't sleep, I can't sleep, I can't sleep. I know, I'll do something, Monty Python. And now for something completely different.
Yeah.
I know, let's get up and do 40 push-ups
Right.
in the middle
Or
of the night.
do the ministry of silly walks around the house.
Right.
You got the space.
But I've often wondered about that. You're in tight quarters. You got all this noise going on. It's going all night long. In the morning, it's going on. Whenever it is, you got a boat that's constantly going. You're on an aircraft carrier, which is just floating city.
Right.
So you got the whole city going on 24 hours a day. Throw in training on top of that, which you do because, well, you might actually have to do things in the middle of the night. So be prepared to do that. Then I think of ground forces and people being in the middle of, they're on duty someplace. They're kind of going through the night. Well, okay, I've got somebody that's awake, on watch or something. I can get some sleep. Yeah, but you're in there where people kind of want to shoot at you, and I'm thinking, I don't know that I'm going to sleep really well in that environment. I mean, I am highly aware, and maybe this is part of the problem too, that I get to go to bed in climate-controlled space on a beautiful mattress with pillows that I've picked out from wherever. And I'm like, oh, this is so nice. Thank you so much to the people who made this possible. But I might be so pampered that I probably can't survive if I didn't have all this luxury that I have. But I don't know. I don't really want to find out.
Right. No. And nobody does, right?
But I know the human being can.
Right. It can be done. Even with no knowledge of survival, you will find a way. Right. I have friends that were. So I did 2 contracts. I did a surface contract, and I did a contract as a Navy CB, which is construction battalion. Kind of like what you were speaking of earlier. Guy was, Navy, then Army, back to Navy. I was out. My 4 years was up in '96. I did Desert Storm, Desert Shield, Southern Watch, Enduring Freedom. Whatever the Bosnia thing was, we were the first ones to put ordnance on the ground in '95. My active duty contract ended in '96. I had reserve contract from '96 to 2000. Released. In '06, I went back in to the Naval Reserve in a CB battalion, ready for deployment. And those things about the sleep rhythms. That was a Fallujah Ramadi thing, '06 to '08. That was thank the good Lord above, my rotation went around me.
So how many years total were you in?
If you put them all together, it was 10.
But you had a gap in there.
I had 2000, 2006 gap. Yeah.
So what'd you do in that gap?
I was married in '98. We moved back here from Virginia Beach in '01. Civilian life worked. Kind of like how you know me in my outside of the real world here.
Shout out to Christian Brothers.
Christian Brothers Automotive.
Ryle, if you're calling over there, look him up.
I'll do what I can for you.
And not to derail too much. I've typically, I'm old, I guess. And to me, it's like you establish a relationship with a mechanic, and mostly you want to find a good quality independent mechanic for things take care of your car, you're all good. I would mostly avoid a lot of the chains. I used to go into like a Goodyear or something just to get tires. Maybe I would go into a Goodyear for an oil change or a Firestone or whatever was convenient because I was young and that's just, like I got a car.
What you did.
Yeah, that's what I did. The other option was frankly going to a dealership. And that has its ups and downs. It's not as, I don't like going to dealerships anymore. I think back in the day, I don't think it was as much of a challenge. Had my mind changed, my ex-wife called me up one day and told me that she ran out of gas on the way to work. Now, she was famous for running out of gas. She would literally run the gas tank dry. I think this probably happened 3 times. And so she calls me up after she got to work, and she's telling me this story. Well, I was on the way and ran out of gas, so kind of, coasted off to the side of the road, and this guy comes up behind me on a motorcycle. And he's got this big old Harley. And he pulls over behind me, and he gets off, and he's about 8 feet tall. Well, actually, in reality, I think was 7'2".
Gee whiz.
He was, because he was...
That's a huge human.
He was Shaquille O'Neal height.
Great day.
And that's why he was on a motorcycle. Because he doesn't fit inside of a car.
Right?
So she's telling me this guy pulls up behind her on a motorcycle, gets off, and he's this, this gigantic human, and he's like, "Today's your lucky day." And I'm thinking, oh, this is not good.
This is not going to end well.
He's a mechanic. And he had a shop there. We were down in, she was driving through Boca Raton. She was working in Deerfield Beach. We were living up in Delray Beach, so you have to drive through Boca to get there. And he had a place called Britgar Motors right off of Federal Highway, US 1 in Boca. And he knew, the people that worked for the city of Boca Raton. So he knew that, the public works guys or whatever. So he gets on his phone and calls somebody and says like, "Hey, I got a lady over here that's run out of gas. Yeah, can you run a 5-gallon bucket of gas out here for her?" So, took care of her, got her going, and it's like, if you need some repair work, Britgar Motors down here, we handle, this, that, and the other thing. So, started taking cars into him because he and his partner that was there were, like, fantastic. And that's when I found out, I'm like, oh, these independent guys, that's the place to go. Mm-hmm. They are, and they wouldn't necessarily charge you by the book. It was like, I'm going to charge you the number of hours it takes to get the job done. I'm not going to say, well, here's the book rate for something. So I really learned to appreciate that. When we moved here, basically did the same thing. But that mechanic his business has gone out of business now. And I hate dealerships. In the meantime, I don't remember how Christian Brothers came across my radar. But somewhere along the line, it was like, we need to go someplace that was a little bit different.
Was it the Benz?
Yeah, and she was tired of paying a lot of money on it and going wherever it was, and she needed to find something different. So she's the one that actually had somehow said like, hey, I need to go to Christian Brothers, and it might have been maybe somebody in her yoga classes or something said, hey, I've got good experience over there, whatever it was. So it's been a difficult thing for me to go, oh, I can bring whatever my car is. I can bring it over there and they can do anything. I don't have to go to a dealership because I hate going to a dealership. Mm-hmm. And I don't mind saying that. Sorry if there's people out there with dealerships, sorry, but I don't like it. The experience I have doing that, it's not something I'd like to repeat. So I don't go out of my way for it. But there's been nothing I've seen you guys not able to do. I'm like, well, it's not that hard to figure out what's going on with a car. You can. The difficulty is, I think, in some cases, taking it apart and putting it back together because they don't make it. They're not engineering cars to be worked on so much anymore.
No. It's not like when you or I were growing up. You could still sit inside the engine bay while you worked on it. Things were pretty simple. Government overreach, in my opinion, has made automotive the world of automobiles and automotive repair, just ridiculously hard.
Well, it's all thanks to that lady in her McDonald's coffee.
Well, yeah, back to that old chestnut. But what I like about CBA, Christian Brothers, is I've worked at the dealer level. I've worked in parts. I've worked in service. I've worked in the service lane. The only thing I've not officially worked for sales department. When I was with Porsche, I know I sold more cars than the sales staff did because I was passionate about it. And you've had conversations with me. I want you to know things.
Right.
I'm not, why, I don't get that thought process of let's keep it, keep a little back.
Well, my wife was just in there because brakes. Yeah, apparently she had a brake that was, down to metal on metal.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And
in the rear.
It was fascinating because I'm like, well, I thought your brakes would start squealing. Well, I found out apparently not all brakes are made the same. They don't all have that little metal tab in there that would start squealing. And it was, I think the last time we'd been in there, your report said, well, there's still 7 millimeters of brake pad on there. And I'm like, I don't have any clue. Is 7 millimeters a lot? Is it a little? I mean, I don't know how thick are brake pads to start with.
Right.
I mean, I've got some brake pad stories that, shock me from dealers, but I don't know, like you guys do a full inspection, which, again, most places don't. I mean, if anybody's looking for a place to go, I mean, the fact is you can take your car into Christian Brothers, and they're going to do this full report. And here's the picture of this, here's the picture of that, here's your boots, here's your steering, here's, everything that's going on there. And, I mean, that's 99% of probably what you're going to have to deal with.
Right. And it's an effort of transparency, too, and that educational aspect
Right.
of it, right?
Because, now I know, well, maybe I want to get brakes that have the little tab in there because I don't want to get to the point where I'm all the way down to no brake pad.
Right.
And I've got a bigger job now because I've got metal on metal, and now I got to replace rotors and pads and so on and so forth.
And it's always best practice to do that anyway. And without divulging, so that you don't get crazy stalkers or something. Without divulging,
You think I'm that popular?
Yes, absolutely. But oddly enough, with her brand, we have discovered just repeatedly that the original equipment, the compounds are a lot softer. And when you hit a certain point, because I believe when we last looked at hers, her fronts were at like 6 or 7 millimeter, and that's just the thickness of the pad.
Right.
And the rears were at 4. And that's right on that cusp.
It's time to start thinking about getting
Right. Because you hit 3 is when we recommend. Now, with that brand and that mark, we've discovered that when you hit that mark, they go.
It's going to be quick.
It is very quick, and it's a safety thing because softer compounds, they're gonna grab a lot more aggressively.
Right. Better quality braking, but not as much life. There's always
a give and take.
There's always trade-offs. Yeah.
Absolutely. So when we do those services, we're going to do rotors anyway because the time and effort and the money, because you've got to pay for that machining. If someone lathes the rotors, you're taking material away from that's already been degraded from use. You've shortened the lifespan now of that rotor even more so. You run the risk of the minute you put heat to it warping, and now, you're gripping, but you're getting vibrations. We always do it as a tandem thing, pads and rotors, because I can warranty that. If there's a defect in materials manufactured craftsmanship, I'm going to take care of it. I can't take care of heat soak if, unfortunate situation, the deer, like just somebody just hit in town, and it warps the rotors. Unfortunately, that's an act of God. I can't really, but say the bonding for the pad material to the base fails. I'm going to take care of it. Pad material cracks. I'm going to take care of that with no questions asked.
So, out of Airport High School, off to the Navy, you are a navigator on an aircraft carrier. Now you're a service advisor at Christian Brothers.
Yep.
How did you get into the automotive? What drew you to that?
Whew.
You predicted that AI was going to come along and it was going to get rid of a lot of jobs, but it is not going to get rid of car repair.
This is true. You're on to me.
You thought that far in
Let's
advance.
clear the room. There will be blood.
Yeah.
Anyway, no. My father was a GM technician. Gets back here. He's a West Columbia guy, like myself. Gets back from Vietnam. Fighting the fight. I say good fight. Matter of opinion. And that's what he did. He was engineering. He was Army Corps engineering, mechanic. So he just took those skills, and always had an interest in cars, mind you. And started working at a dealership. Started working at a Hancock Buick in downtown Columbia. There used to be at the corner of Laurel and Barnwell. There's a fire station or something there now. So not always having childcare, I would have to go to work with him. We're talking the early 70s. I was born in 73. So we're talking, early 70s I'm born. He's doing this. My parents get divorced. My father gets custody of me. Late 70s, I'm 5'6". Now it's like I don't have childcare all the time because automotive world didn't pay well then.
Right.
Because there was no value in it.
You didn't have to go to work with him because it was take your kid to work day.
No, it was a necessity.
Although it was probably very beneficial.
It was.
On all levels.
Well, I learned an appreciation for the English language coming from my father. Colorful ways of just weaving this expletive tapestry that was almost like poetry. However, that's how I kind of got into the industry. I would observe the repair side of it. To keep from getting run over, he made me hang out in parts department. So I learned that aspect of it. And I did that off and on, even at the level where I was getting paid for it as a teen.
Some of that the attraction, mechanical, working with the hands, appreciating complex systems and making things work? Is some of that, I like these kind of things, and this is how I can help you. You've got a problem with your mechanical systems. Let me help you. Let me serve you in this regard.
The parts aspect of it, working in a parts department, was beneficial to me in that respect, because you see what you see. Oh, well, this part is here, and you see everything around it, right? So even though you don't physically disassemble it and reassemble it, you have a good working knowledge of how it goes together. So the troubleshooting aspect of it. And again,
which, by the way, points to your math abilities. Even though you probably weren't the greatest mathematician in school, you still have that. You still have a mind that's analytical enough,
right?
And that's what that's. I mean, the math stuff is all
and I try to see things in 3 dimensions whenever in my mind's eye, right? When I'm describing things, you've been in those conversations where I describe like how your AC works. Not everybody's familiar with, and it could be automotive, residential, commercial. AC is pretty much works on the same principle.
Yeah.
And it works like your circulatory system. It's a pump. Your heart's a pump. Freon is the blood in that scenario. Blah, blah, blah. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can relate to. And if you think about them like that, instead of, a lot of people think very linearly when it comes to automobile repair. It's like, oh, you're just, you're going to replace it. Well, there's more to it than that, But that's how I kind of process.
Right, but it's no different, for example, than somebody who does watch repair or clock repair or something.
Right.
It's a mechanical system. And a lot of people are fascinated with guns because they are a mechanical system, and they're very intricate, and they could be off by a tiny little bit, and it doesn't work.
Right, and be catastrophic.
Right. So there is a lot of precision in that. I'm fascinated with guns for the same reason. I like to do knife sharpening. Well, that's a very simple thing, but it is not that simple given, you've got this little bit of, you're off on your angles over here, your edge isn't going to maintain itself, it's not going to be very sharp, and maybe it works great for the day, but as soon as you try to cut something with it, it doesn't work anymore. And you try to cut a steak with a dull knife, it doesn't work very well. Your grass is much better off if you've got a sharp mower blade. I don't know. I find that kind of stuff fascinating.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So why it is I spend my living just like writing software, it's another story altogether, I suppose. But
that brings us here to these things, right?
Right.
Other interests. I too, I like guns. Not for the purpose of
you like the gun, not necessarily the target you're hitting. You're not fascinated. Now you might be fascinated with the ability to hit a target.
that. Yes,
Right.
that I love long shooting. Right.
But I've got this device. It's got to be
The
dialed
means
in
of
just
life or
right.
death. Right. I know how to apply it. I know when to apply it. Never. I don't ever get yourself in those situations. Right.
Right. Best gunfights are the ones you avoid.
Absolutely. If you have one in the vehicle, tell the officer, because he'll usually say if it stays where it is, mine will stay where it is, and we're all happy.
South Carolina, as I understand it, I have to do some research on this because I want to be a well-educated gun owner. You no longer have to declare to the officer upon encounter that you have a gun in your car.
I don't know. Always best practice.
I totally agree. I would rather these guys not be surprised.
Right.
I think your experience is going to be far better if you're just like up front, officer, I have a firearm. It's wherever it is. The law in South Carolina, when they went to the constitutional carry thing, there was a bunch of other things that changed with it, and I haven't kept up with what exactly that is. But I would still want to say, as long as as long as my encounter is for what I think is justified, that's fine. But if I feel like I don't know if you're really an officer of the law, I don't really know if you're a sheriff's deputy, and maybe there's I should be a little skeptical about something here, I might not be as forthcoming. Right. Because you might not be who you say you are. So I don't need to help you in your scam. Mm-hmm. But I think you also need to have it. You need to have a healthy respect and a healthy skepticism.
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
And that's always it's got to be part of how you're doing whatever you're doing. And yeah. But anyway.
And I don't know if the open display thing of the firearm changed, right? So like you have to have it in the glove box or center console.
No, you didn't.
Disclosed.
You didn't even have to have that before in South Carolina.
Well, that's what I understand. That was my understanding.
Right. You can now actually have it on the seat. You can have it under the seat. I've always wanted to mount a holster on the side of the steering wheel, or not.
Well, they make these wonderful magnetic. It's just a strip that you bolt to the under the dash, and if you have a semi-automatic, it attaches itself magnetically.
Okay.
And then you push forward to charge a cartridge and release the firearm.
Okay.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'll send you,
at that point, you're not carrying around in the chamber then. So you're chambering.
I carry hot.
Well, yeah, but in that instance, like you're not trying to chamber around. You're not.
To release the firearm, you will chamber around.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So you can carry your gun in the car without a round in the chamber. Now, there's a lot of people, and I happen to be somewhat of this similar thought process. Gun without a round in the chamber is.
It's a hammer.
Yeah, it's a hammer. It's a paperweight. It's not a gun at that point. And when you need it to be a gun, you probably don't want to be taking the time to chambering around.
And that's where.
And if you're not comfortable with that, you probably shouldn't be carrying the gun in the first place.
Yeah, you don't need to have a firearm. And that's where you have to do your personal training inventory, right? You've got to do your self-training. Walk around your house with your weapon on you, open, concealed. Know your perimeters in your house. Know your safe spots. Practice loading, unloading, chambering. Knowing, and I mean, you can get really detailed. Knowing the weight of that weapon with a full magazine in it, half magazine, no magazine. Because it's going to be different, and you need to know, because if somebody comes into your house uninvited and you start discharging that weapon to protect you and yours, you're well within your rights, you know.
Right.
But you need to understand the operating principles behind that, and know that when you're either getting close to empty, because you just don't want to unload recklessly.
It's not a time to be economically minded.
Right.
Oh, I don't want to waste any rounds.
Nope.
Don't
But
worry
you
about
do
it.
need to
You'll
know how many
recover
you
them
have.
later.
Right. But if you know you've got a single stack that is 7 in your mag and 1 in your pipe, how many times you can pull that trigger before you're reaching for your other magazine? Well, if you don't think you can do that, get a double stack and get an extended magazine. I mean, manage yourself for whatever situation that you're trained for.
Right.
I mean, I have done these things.
Right. And you also need to know what are the situations that I'm comfortable going into and where's your limit. So for me, for example, I don't carry an extra magazine because my thought is if I'm in a situation that requires an extra magazine, I'm probably not going to survive anyway. I'm thinking that I am probably at such a disadvantage if I need to go beyond, whatever my capacity is, that my inability to reload is bad enough that I'm like, you know what, I'm good. If I can't get the situation resolved by leaving the scene, if I can't resolve the conflict or whatever it is, just like, hey man, sorry, don't mean to be in your face. I'm not looking to escalate things. If it escalates to the point where I need more than magazine's capacity, then I should consider a different weapon that has a better capacity, or I should focus more on get the hell out of here. Because I'm not interested in something that is going to require me to send 20 or 25 rounds downrange.
Well, that in a small capacity scenario, specificity of placement. It's like one of the many firearms that you may have in your home is
Zombie horde coming into the neighborhood, different story.
different story.
But I'm not carrying.
But that lock's there for
I'm not carrying for the scenario zombie horde in the neighborhood.
right. That lock on that door is not for my protection, it's for yours. Right? So that's where placement is vital to capacity. Biggest part of the body, center mass. And if you got to dump all 7 there and they're still coming, they're on something and you can outrun them at that point in time. Because again, back to that AC, air conditioning in a car to circulatory system scenario, you got no cold air out of your vents, means there's no freon.
You're leaking it out somewhere.
You're leaking somewhere.
And if this guy's leaking that badly, you've got a good, all you got to do is outlast that.
Right.
It's like the old joke about bear hunting.
Yeah, I don't have to outrun the bear, I have to outrun you.
You're right.
Yeah, exactly. And I have heard of stories where, drug-induced encounters, and I think law enforcement now is taught differently. 2 to the chest. They don't go straight for the skull anymore. They go to the crotch. And then if you're still
Femoral artery, you're going to start dumping fuel, so to
and
speak.
then you go to the head. I always told, it's like the scenario for me is like, the cops show up. It's like, oh, hey, we know you had to discharge your weapon, and you shot out all the rounds in the, heat of the moment. Nice grouping, by the way. But what we can't explain to is the one to the head. It's like, well, shoot, that one was first.
Right.
The rest, pure spite. Because it's like, this guy is.
The one to the head.
Hey,
sorry,
I called you.
I
didn't
missed the
call you.
target. I was aiming here. My aim's not that good. I happened to,
Right.
happen to get one in the noggin.
Yeah, hey man, I'd button his shirt up. Watch him.
Yeah.
And that, again, due diligence for yourself. Practice.
So somewhere
Becomes muscle
you
memory.
veered off into
I did.
music land.
No, I did take, much like yourself. I music.
By the way, that also speaks to your math
It
ability.
does, doesn't it? That's freaking mathing. You know, always had my father played piano, my grandmother, aunt, uncle. My mother played saxophone. Her brother guitar, banjo, anything with string on it. My grandfather on that side of the family as well. So music was always around me. My dad got remarried. My stepbrother, oldest stepbrother, was a guitar player. Hair bands of the '80s.
It doesn't show.
It doesn't show. I'm glad. Thanks. But that got me interested in music and playing guitar and drums and this. I don't play drums much anymore. I did. I played band. Like you were in band. I played drums. I was that guy. But yeah, I love music. And again, it's math. You know.
If you can count to 4.
Yeah. Well,
Can you dance?
I look like I'm having an episode.
Okay. That's good to know.
But I can. Will I?
Yes, I likewise, even in a private space. It reminds me of Elaine from Cheers, or Seinfeld rather.
Yes.
And, I'll ask people like, did that? They're like, oh yeah, you were having a good time. Like, okay. Somebody wanted me to learn the country two-step.
Okay.
And so I'm looking into this, and it's going, quick, quick, slow, slow, quick, quick, slow, slow, quick. So it's a 3 count.
It's 3/4 time. It's like a waltz.
Well, except you're almost always doing this to 4-beat music.
Well, you got a quarter rest in there.
No, you don't. As it turns out, no,
You don't.
You don't. This vexed me for a while. I'm like, what? Like, when does it match back up? Because as a musician, you start playing something, you're inevitably going to get lost. I don't know, maybe I always just inevitably got lost on things. But you could watch the conductor, like, here's the downbeat. Oh, okay, I should be on the downbeat. Skip ahead a beat or whatever it is, and get yourself realigned with whatever. So you could feel the beat of the music. So you could always kind of work your way back into something and make it sound like you knew what you were doing.
You always go to the one chord. You always go to the first, whatever your root or your tonic is. If you go there, you're never wrong.
Right. I'm not that good. So, but I'm that math guy, and I write software. So everything has got to be just right. In my world, things have to work. The reason that I didn't, get all the way through a math degree in college was things stopped making sense to me. When you start giving me double and triple integrals and the rest of it, at that point you lost me.
Well, that's when I lost interest. Whenever, like, letters and numbers started to become one, it's almost like your checkbook had a stroke.
Right.
Think you know.
Right. I couldn't quite go there. So, but the point is that everything has to make sense to me. And music is very mathematical, and you find musicians and math people that are good in math, typically are also very good in music. And you'll find this coincidence there. I don't think coincidentally. So anyway, I'm trying to learn the two-step. I'm like, okay, 3 beats, but now I'm going to start the next step on beat 4. Okay, well, that's going to take me through to beat 2 of the next measure. So now I'm going to start on beat 3. Then I'm going to go another measure and start on beat 2. And then go to the next measure and start on beat 1. But that's, 5 or 6 measures? But you're in 8-bar phrases. I'm like, okay, so when are you going to come back around? So you're going to come back around to the downbeat on 6 measures, not on 8. So you're still lost
When
on
you
a
hit
phrase.
12 is when your turnaround is probably.
No.
No.
It's like at 24, actually.
What? So it's not
6 and 8 cross at 24.
So it's not like a 12, again, modern music, right?
Right.
We're working in 4s, 8s, 12s.
Right.
But it
But
doesn't
you don't
come
have
back
that match
Right.
where things come back around to the beginning of the phrase until 24 beats or 24 measures. That's where
That's where everything realigns.
Right. You're back to beat 1. You think you're back at the beginning of a phrase, but you are on an 8-bar phrase, but you're now on the 4th phrase of what is probably a total of 4-phrase verse. or chorus or whatever.
Right.
So you've got, 32 bars that you could probably catch up in a line again. And I'm sorry, I'm sure I've lost everybody here, but you're this is
They're like-
this is what's going through my mind, and I'm like, I can't learn this. I'm like, how does this line up? So I'm starting to do research, and I do a little AI, get ChatGPT up, and I'm like, why can't I figure this out? Now ChatGPT and we have a lot of conversation, so she knows a lot about me, and I get this response. This is why mathematicians or computer science or software guys can't dance, and why dancers don't do math and computer science. Because, oh, by the way, it's not meant to match up. It's just a 3-beat dance.
Take it for face value. Don't try to analyze it.
Just go 3 beats and start over again.
Right.
Don't listen to the music so much. And I'm like, that's how I get along, is listening to the music. So
The rhythm is going to get you. I think Gloria Estefan said one time.
yes,
And it
I
got you.
think she said it a whole bunch of times, actually,
Yeah.
over and over and over again. Maybe 3 times, and I don't know, whatever.
But that's where you got jammed up, right?
Well, yeah, but that was kind of the point. I'm like, okay, so maybe this is why I can't dance. So I'm glad to hear, even as a drummer, that you still kind of struggle with that because, like, oh, great. So what are you doing today? Are you still, did you have any formal training outside of you
No.
were in band in high school or whatever? So.
No, and believe me, band and drum and training, no. It's a hear and react. It's a monkey see, monkey do situation.
So
I didn't
you're
have to read.
self-taught,
Absolutely.
just through experience.
Absolutely. 100%.
So what's your instrument of choice today?
Guitar. I have I know theory, application of theory. I've learned it not from any outside source other than seeking it myself and reading it. We never had money for lessons. Let me rephrase. Never had money for lessons for me. My stepbrother, miraculously enough, there was always money for him to have his guitar lessons. So he got to the point where he didn't need them anymore.
Yeah, you had money to make choices, and the choice was not to send you to music.
Right. Anyway, we talked about choices earlier, I think. Anyway,
Life is all about making
absolutely.
choices. You need
So
to double at the crossroads.
Yep. So I did. I dove in. Parents bought one piece of equipment for me. The rest of it, and it was an amp, a little Fender amp. Rest of the stuff, guitars, strings, whatever I needed to get through it. Magazines, because again, we didn't have the internet in, in 80, 84, 80. Yeah, I was probably 12, 84, 85 when I first started playing. Got a loaner guitar first off from it's a 54 Telecaster, which I wish I still had. Wonderful instrument.
Your son might make a note someday. He needs to buy his dad a 54 Telecaster.
That would be awesome if he does that when he gets to a good station in life. Right now, live your life, son. Live your life. But yeah, I did it all. And again, self-made in every aspect. Nobody truly is, because there's some help along the way. But for that aspect of my life, I pretty much did it all.
Are you an equipment junkie today?
I am a bit of a gearhead. As a matter of fact, Noah had a friend over. Our son had a friend over today, and Noah's like, "Hey, show him the." I'm like, all right. So breaking out,
All right. So what's your favorite equipment? What's your favorite gear? What's your?
It's like picking between your kids. I've got a custom built, and I've got a custom built Frankenstrat, Eddie Van Halen, right? The Stripe guitar that he played. He built that himself.
And the stripes make all the difference.
Absolutely.
Sound is so much different as a result.
Oh, it is indeed. That's layers of Krylon race red.
The interesting thing is that I'm being somewhat sarcastic, but it actually does make a difference. Not inherently. I think it causes the musician to just have a different mindset.
Well,
and
when
play
you're
the
huffing
instrument
those paint
different.
fumes, there's that.
No doubt that he was high on paint fumes all the time. Just paint fumes.
Yeah, just Just paint fumes.
But again, speaking of geniuses out there, and intellectual monsters, there's no doubt Eddie Van Halen was.
Oh yeah, and he was a pianist to start with. I mean, and his brother studied guitar, and Eddie wanted to play drums, and they switched. Same thing with like the Abbott brothers, Pantera. I mean, different style of music, but very musical. I mean, unbelievably solid musicians.
Yeah. Unlike almost any of today's. Well, so I should temper that. I would criticize a lot of today's musicians and music, but it's not their fault. I think the musicians today are every bit as good, maybe better, maybe worse. I don't know. It doesn't matter. We don't get to hear that. We get to hear what the producers want, what the record companies want, what the promoters want, because they think that's what's going to sell. Sell albums, going to sell streams, going to sell tickets in the arena.
They don't, and record execs and music execs, they don't care about fostering bands and artists and development. It's like one and done. Just like to your point, kid, what can you give me today? I mean, if it weren't for Run DMC, Aerosmith probably wouldn't be where they are today, because Daryl pulled out whatever album, what Toys in the Attic maybe that Walk This Way is on, and used it at a house show. And then they did a collab. They published this, did a collab with Aerosmith, and it relaunched their career because they were going downhill. I mean,
it's very interesting for you to say that, because that clicks really well, because I've always wondered, why is it that everybody thinks Steven Tyler is the genius that they think he is, and he's on, the American Idol or whatever various shows that, he's on he's viewed as this
icon.
This grand poobah in pop music. And I'm like, really? That has always surprised me. It's not that I don't like Aerosmith. It's not that I don't, I don't think he's a good singer. I really don't know. But I've always wondered, why him versus some others? I don't know. It's marketing. It's whatever it is. It's
yeah. I mean, again,
somebody's promoting a personality.
Well, it was. I think it was when they had that resurgence, right? Thanks to, I mean, I love hip hop. I'm not a fan of some of the more modern rap and hip hop. Just cause, again, syncopation versus asyncopation. Lyric line versus what the beat is. It's like, are they coherent? And maybe it's just showing my age. It's not coherent. It doesn't.
Right. You want to hear something
doesn't
compelling.
Do that.
You want to hear something about it that causes you to go, I like that because there's artistry in this. Mm-hmm. It's not just cranked out to fill space.
Right. And to that, back to that, if it weren't for hip hop, Aerosmith would be dead.
So in your musical career, in your experiences, what's the most rewarding part of that? Where do you go, I am so thrilled that I get to do this, that I'm...
To know that all the self training and playing music in bands. I mean, there was a time when I was in Virginia, we pushed hard, man. We played shows, trying to get recognized and get out there. All those trials and tribulations, all the hard work putting in, the tutelage and everything, set me up to where I'm at now, to that point. Knowing that the God that I serve, Creator of the universe, Lord and Savior, created me long ago to be a musician, to send me down those roads, and then show me that this is how I've designed you. I want you to play music to glorify me and to lead people in my worship. And that's what I do now. I believe that in my core, that is my design, at least for my musician, the musician's part of me, right? The other part still serves God.
Right. So it's that expression, that ability to do what you feel like, hey, this is kind of a unique thing I get to do, that I can express that and share it with an audience.
Yeah. And
I
I was going to say, I don't have a desire to play in clubs anymore.
So where does anybody hear you play now?
I-
In the garage or?
Harvest Church, right here in Lexington on 378. Any given Sunday, any given Wednesday night, I'm there, right? And and again, put the work in. You got to put the work in, right?
Right.
But it's a different fulfillment. It's not. I'm not satisfying anything for me at all. And it's unbelievable to see that and realize that's how or what I was meant to do, right?
Do you get the satisfaction of that you are enhancing someone else's experience in that moment, in that space? Because part of what brings people together in almost anything, but if you're in a religious setting, if you're in a church service, and there's music that's appropriate for the space, that brings people together, everybody's having a spiritual experience, and there is that connection with people. And I say this, because I've been in that same scenario. That's the very rewarding thing for me. It's not rewarding to be able to play the notes on the page.
Right.
I can play the notes on the page. I've done that many, many times. The thing that's rewarding to me is I think about the audience. I think about the people that are out there that are sitting there that are having an experience of listening to whatever that is. If I'm in a symphony and they're listening to this great work of, masterworks from the, 14th century or whatever, whatever it happens to be that I'm playing, they're getting to experience that. They're getting to experience that creation from this composer from wherever it was, maybe from yesterday, maybe from 200 years ago, but they're getting to get that communication from that person. There's been an idea in a composer's head. That composer has wanted to put that out there. I'm the conduit for that. I'm bringing that person's work to this audience, and they're having an experience. And it's hugely rewarding to me to realize when I sit down and think about, I am in this space and I'm helping communicate from this dead guy perhaps to this live audience, and they're having an emotional response to this. That's just fascinating to me.
Well, you've not always been on platform or stage, whatever that term wants to be. You've not always been there, so you've had to have been in that seat, in that congregation, or in that concert hall, being given that, right? So when you've been on both sides of it yourself, when you've been on both sides of it, to me, that's the completion. It's like,
Well, because
I know what it felt like to be over
Right.
there
It's
and
the
to be
empathy.
touched. You're right. And to be touched by that environment. Yeah, not every song's going to connect with somebody.
Nope.
Right? Not every lyric is going to connect. Not every chord progression is going to connect. But there's not just one person there. And you have to, and the aspect that I'm in now, I don't, and again, as long as the God of the universe is pleased with what I'm doing, I don't care. But having felt his presence during a worship service, and having not only being fed to me, but also doing the feeding, oh my goodness,
Yeah.
unbelievable.
I was at the grocery store today. So I was going to say, it's a very emotional experience for me. The music world has been. I played trombone for about 50 years. I finally put it down a few years ago, much to the chagrin of some people, much to the relief of others. Finally, he stopped. Thank God. Yes, thank you. But it had always been a very emotional thing for me. And I look back over the years of being able to play here and play there and to play this piece of music and play that piece of music and all the people I've met. It has just been fantastic. But it's always been a very emotional thing because I find that connection there. So I'm in the grocery store today, and there's an older guy, gentleman, that was cashing me out. And instead of getting a joke from him, he's typically quick with the jokes, which you're just like, oh my God, I cannot believe that I just fell for that. Although my favorite joke to him is like, so why don't you ever see elephants hiding in trees? Because they're so good at it. But instead of exchanging one of those really bad things, yes, that was a bad joke. But instead of that, I just asked him, what's your life advice? What's your best life advice today? And his advice to me today was find the love of your life and hold them close for as long as you can. And I'm like, John, you're going to make me cry. But that's what music, to me, and when I've played in churches and I've played in praise bands and all the different things, if I put myself, that's a very empathetic thing. If I put myself out into the audience because I've been there and had that emotional experience with the music itself, it's emotional as a musician, but I think that is because I'm interested in people and I want other people. Turns out apparently I'm a people person as much as I thought I was not many years ago. That's the part that has always been.
Well, I think of the environment that I'm playing in, right? When I can disengage, still playing, mind you, disengage from my instrument while still executing my part, and be in that moment of worship, that, man, when you hit those times, because it's not all the time, unfortunately, when you hit those moments, that's when the emotion and the empathy come into play. You think of those times, you're worshiping the Most High. Things come to mind. He provided those things. You think of your wife, your kids, different things. And it's like there's a song that goes along with those, right? Well, Stevie Wonder, songs in the key of life, right? And holding on to those things and not sharing them is selfish.
Yeah.
And, and what's the range of a trombone?
About 40 feet.
My man, he's on it. He's on it. You know what the definition of perfect pitch is, right?
Yeah, when the saxophone lands in the middle of the dumpster on the first pitch.
Or throwing
First
an
toss.
accordion into a dumpster and it crushes a trombone. Absolutely.
You know how you get a trombone player off your front porch? Pay him for the pizza.
Touche.
There's a whole bunch of those kind of things. What's the difference between Santa Claus and a tuba player on the way to the gig? On the way to a gig?
No.
One of them is a fantasy. What do you call a guitar player without a girlfriend?
Homeless.
Homeless.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's the difference between a coffin and a keyboard?
I don't know.
Coffin's got the guy on the inside.
How many orchestra directors or how many orchestra conductors does it take to screw in a light bulb? Nobody knows. They're never watching.
Nicely done.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Rial Eargle, awesome, man.
Man.
Nice to meet you.
Likewise, my friend. Thank you for having me.
Cheers.
Cheers.